So, Memphis is one of those cities that people think they understand until they actually spend some time here. So, seriously, people hear Memphis and immediately think barbecue, music, Beale Street, Elvis, maybe FedEx, and yeah, that all of that is part of it. But once you actually start learning the city, you realize Memphis is very much a block by block city. And I mean that literally. One street can feel completely different from the next. Not every neighborhood is moving in the same direction either. Some areas have already kind of peaked, and some areas are staying steady. And then there are some neighborhoods hitting a major turning point right now in 2026 when it comes to growth and investment, infrastructure, development, and buyer demand. And honestly, that's why so many people moving here make some mistakes. Because you really can't pull up Zillow, look at a map for 5 minutes, and think you understand Memphis. You have to understand momentum. You have to understand where people are moving and where developers are investing money, where infrastructure is improving, and where demand is starting to spill over next. And trust me, that matters here. So today I'm breaking down 10 Memphis neighborhoods that are getting a lot of attention right now in 2026. We're talking about where developers are investing, where buyers are flooding in, where neighborhoods still feel undervalued, and which areas have some really long-term upside over the next several years. And honestly, a couple of these neighborhoods are probably going to surprise some people. Hey guys, if we haven't met before, I'm Jen Carsonson. I'm a local real estate expert right here in Memphis, Tennessee. My team at the Live Like Memphis group, we've been helping people navigate this market since 2008. And after doing this for as long as we have, one thing I can tell you for sure is Memphis is not always what you see on the news. Not even close. This city is full of hidden gems, incredible neighborhoods, amazing people, beautiful architecture, and pockets of opportunity that a lot of outsiders completely overlook. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I love it here. But the key to making a smart move in Memphis really comes down to understanding the local dynamics because every area has its own personality, its own vibe, its own price point, its own trajectory. And if you don't understand that, you can very easily buy in the wrong area for your goals. So today I'm walking you through the neighborhoods that are getting the most attention right now and the areas we still believe have strong upside moving through the rest of 2026 and beyond. All right, let's get into it. So first up is East Memphis. And honestly, East Memphis has been one of the safest long-term bets in the city for a really long time now. This area really took off as Memphis expanded eastward back in the 50s. But what used to be farmland and large estates slowly transformed into what people now describe as a suburb inside of a city. And honestly, that description still fits perfectly. You've got mature trees everywhere, larger lots, established neighborhoods, incredible restaurants, and some of the strongest retail and office corridors anywhere in Memphis. It just feels established, and people like that, especially buyers relocating from other cities who want something that feels stable and convenient right away. Now, what's really making East Memphis attractive in 2026 is the amount of reinvestment happening right now. You're seeing older ranch homes getting fully renovated or torn down and replaced with high-end custom builds, especially in pockets near Poplar and Walnut Grove. And by the way, if you know Memphis, you already know those areas are highly desirable. That luxury infill trend is helping push surrounding property values upwards too. And inventory is still pretty tight there, especially for updated homes in the most desirable sections of East Memphis. And something else we're seeing right now is a lot of buyers who maybe would have automatically moved farther into the suburbs years ago are now prioritizing convenience instead. They want shorter commutes, better restaurants, more character, more established neighborhoods. They don't necessarily want to drive 45 minutes for everything anymore. And East Memphis checks a lot of those boxes. Plus, with continued expansion around the Wolf River Greenway, the area just keeps becoming more attractive for long-term buyers. Now, is East Memphis the flashy, high-risk, high-reward investment play? Probably not. But honestly, it may be one of the strongest stability plays in Memphis right now. Now, if East Memphis is stability, Midtown is personality. Midtown is the creative heartbeat of Memphis, and there's honestly nowhere else in the city that has this exact kind of energy. You either love Midtown immediately or you just don't get it. And the people who love it really love it. And the history here runs deep too. Midtown exploded in the early 1900s as one of Memphis's original streetcar suburbs, and over time it became this magnet for artists, musicians, students, entrepreneurs, creatives, all of it. And that energy is still very much alive today. You've got historic architecture, walkability, coffee shops, local restaurants, live music, festivals, front porches, and neighborhoods where people actually know their neighbors. Like it feels lived in, it feels connected. And for a lot of people relocating from larger cities, Midtown feels the most urban while still keeping that authentic Memphis charm. Now, heading into 2026, Midtown is continuing to benefit from major surrounding investment too. The Liberty Park redevelopment near the old fairgrounds has brought in new apartments, sports facilities, entertainment, and infrastructure improvements that are helping drive even more demand towards nearby Midtown neighborhoods. And one thing that's really interesting about Midtown buyers is they're not just buying a house, they're buying a lifestyle. And honestly, that matters more than people realize. So, lifestyle driven neighborhoods tend to stay resilient even when markets cool off. And we're still really seeing strong appreciation on renovated bungalows and historic homes and even smaller properties because demand remains incredibly strong for centrally located neighborhoods with authentic character. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest transformations happening anywhere in Memphis right now, the Edge District. And if you haven't driven by there recently, you honestly might not even recognize parts of it. Historically, this area was known as Auto Row, and it was full of dealerships and warehouses, industrial buildings. Basically, this overlooked stretch sitting between downtown and the medical district. And for years, people just kind of ignored it. But today, it's becoming one of the city's most important redevelopment corridors. You've got old industrial buildings turning into offices, apartments, breweries, restaurants, creative workspaces, startup hubs, all kinds of things. And one of the biggest shifts has been the amount of large scale development pouring into the area. Projects like Walk on Union are helping reshape the district into this much more connected live, work, play environment that really appeals to younger professionals. And honestly, location is a huge advantage here. The Edge sits directly between downtown and the medical district, which are two of the city's largest employment centers. That positioning alone creates a lot of long term demand potential. You're also seeing more residents wanting an urban lifestyle where they can walk to restaurants and nightlife and sporting events and work without relying completely on commuting everywhere. And the interesting thing is this neighborhood still feels early enough that a lot of buyers believe there's additional upside ahead as development continues pushing eastward. Now, Uptown is one of those neighborhoods that flies under the radar a little bit until you really start studying what's happening around it. And then you're like, okay, wait a second. Located just north of downtown, Uptown includes portions of historic Greenlaw, which is actually one of Memphis's oldest residential communities. Over the last couple decades, the area has steadily evolved through both public and private investment. You've had new housing construction, infrastructure improvements, revitalization efforts, all kinds of things gradually reshaping the neighborhood. But what's really driving momentum right now is proximity to downtown and the medical district. As institutions like St. Jude continue expanding, demand for nearby housing has increased significantly among medical professionals, researchers, students, and support staff. And that's creating strong demand for rentals and renovated homes and newer construction properties close to the urban core. And compared to some downtown adjacent neighborhoods, Uptown still feels relatively approachable from a pricing standpoint. So buyers are starting to look at it and think, okay, maybe I should get in here before appreciation really takes over. Quick pause really fast. If you're thinking about moving to Memphis, relocating from another state, or even investing here, I put together a completely free Memphis relocation guide that breaks down neighborhoods and pricing, commute times, schools, lifestyle differences, and honestly, just what locals actually need to know before moving here. Because there's a lot of people that don't realize any of this until after they move. So you can grab it using the link below or just scan the QR code on the screen. It's literally the same guide we give our relocation clients. All right, let's keep going because these next few neighborhoods have some serious upside potential. So next up is Whitehaven. And yes, obviously most people immediately think of Graceland when they hear Whitehaven. But honestly, the story here in 2026 goes way beyond tourism. This area sits right near the Memphis International Airport and the FedEx World Hub, which makes it incredibly important economically. Thousands and thousands of employees work in and around this logistics corridor every single day. And because of that, housing demand in nearby communities continues staying pretty strong. One thing buyers really like about Whitehaven is value. You can still find larger brick homes on generous lots at price points that are honestly getting harder and harder to find in other parts of the city. At the same time, infrastructure improvements along Elvis Presley and nearby corridors have helped improve the overall appearance and accessibility throughout the area, too. And we're also seeing more focus on schools and neighborhood reinvestment and community development efforts. So, for buyers prioritizing space, affordability, and proximity to major employers, Whitehaven continues to be one of the more overlooked opportunities in Memphis. Now, let's talk about the medical district because this area has changed dramatically. This is no longer a place where people work. This is generally where people want to live now. And honestly, that's a massive shift. So, homes to institutions like St. Jude and the University of Tennessee Health Science Center, the medical district has become one of the largest economic engines in the entire city. Billions of dollars have flowed into the area over the last several years, and you can absolutely feel it when you drive through there now. There's new apartments and restaurants and coffee shops, green spaces, mixed use developments, and it's just really becoming a true live work community. And from an investment standpoint, one thing that makes this area especially attractive is the built in demand. You've got thousands of employees, medical professionals, researchers, and students all needing housing close to these facilities. And that creates a level of consistency that a lot of investors really value, especially as Memphis continues shifting towards more urban style development patterns. Now, Binghampton is another neighborhood that's gotten so much attention recently, especially among younger buyers and local creatives. So, this area originally started as more of a manufacturing community before going through decades of disinvestment. But things have really changed dramatically over the last several years. And a huge catalyst has been the Broad Avenue Arts District. We've got older industrial spaces being transformed into restaurants and breweries, galleries, retail shops, and creative businesses. And now at the Hampline Bike Trail connecting Binghampton to Midtown and Shelby Farms, the neighborhood feels more connected than ever before. And honestly, connectivity matters more than people realize. Walkability and bikeability have become major lifestyle priorities for younger buyers, especially people relocating from larger cities. And we're seeing this really interesting mix of renovated historic homes, modern infill construction, and long term community investment all happening at the same time. What people really love about Binghamton is that it still feels authentic. It feels local and still feels creative. It doesn't feel overly polished yet, but prices are absolutely starting to move upward as more buyers discover the area. Now, South Main has become one of the premier urban neighborhoods in Memphis. This area blends history, arts, nightlife, luxury living, and riverfront access better than anywhere else in the city. And historically, South Main grew around Memphis's railroad industry and warehouse economy. So today, many of these historic buildings have been transformed into luxury lofts and condos, restaurants, and boutique spaces. One of the biggest catalysts right now is all the continued riverfront investing happening downtown. The transformation of Tom Lee Park completely elevated the experience of living near the river. And that investment, combined with the hospitality growth and tourism development, has really solidified South Main as one of the premier lifestyle destinations in Memphis. Now, yes, the entry point here is definitely higher than a lot of neighborhoods on this list, but supply is also limited. There are only so many historic warehouse conversions and riverfront adjacent properties available. So, for buyers wanting that upscale urban lifestyle, South Main continues standing out as one of the more unique neighborhoods anywhere in Memphis. Now, Highland Heights, or the Heights, as a lot of locals call it, that's become one of the more interesting value plays in the city. This area benefits heavily from its central location and spillover demand from nearby neighborhoods where prices have already climbed significantly. And one of the biggest drivers here has been the continued evolution of Summer Avenue. Summer has become one of the more diverse and excited food corridors in Memphis. And honestly, if you know, you know, new restaurants, businesses, and younger buyers are all being drawn into the surrounding neighborhoods because of it. And because homes are still relatively affordable compared to nearby areas, buyers are starting to see the opportunity. We're seeing renovations, updated mid century homes, new infill construction, and increasing owner occupant activity. And that matters because neighborhoods tend to stabilize and appreciate faster when more long term homeowners move in. So, Highland Heights still feels approachable from a pricing standpoint, but momentum is definitely building here. And finally, we have Frayser. Now, Frayser is probably the most speculative neighborhood on this list. Stay with me, honestly. It might also be one of the more interesting long term opportunities, too. So, historically, Frayser was heavily tied to Memphis's industrial and manufacturing economy. And when many of those jobs disappeared, the neighborhood definitely faced some serious challenges. But in 2026, we're beginning to see renewed investment and attention returning to parts of the community. Large logistics employers nearby continue driving demand for workforce housing, and projects like the Frayser Library and Innovation Center are helping create new momentum too. Now, this neighborhood is absolutely a block by block neighborhood, and buyers really need to do their homework carefully here, like really carefully. But for investors or first time buyers thinking long term, Frayser still offers some of the lowest entry pricing anywhere in Memphis. And historically, some of the biggest equity growth stories start in neighborhoods people overlooked early on. And honestly, that's kind of the story of Memphis right now as a whole. The city is changing fast. Some neighborhoods are evolving through luxury development, some through infrastructure, some through culture and community momentum. But the common thread across all of them is opportunity. So, whether you're looking for stability in East Memphis, creative energy in Midtown, or long term upside in places like Binghampton or Frayser, Memphis still offers something that a lot of larger cities simply don't anymore: the ability to get in before prices become completely unreachable. And after being in this market since 2008, I can honestly say the amount of movement and transformation happening across Memphis right now is unlike anything we've seen in years. So, if you're thinking about moving to Memphis, buying here, investing in one of the neighborhoods I've mentioned, my team would absolutely love to help. So make sure you grab that free relocation guide down below, hit the like button if this video is helpful, and subscribe for more Memphis real estate and neighborhood breakdowns every single week. And I really want to hear from you guys in the comments. Which one of these neighborhoods would you personally bet on in 2026? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.